CharityWatch now rates the Point Foundation. My name is Laurie Styron. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of CharityWatch. So first off, I want to say, for those who observe it, happy Pride Month. For those who don't observe it, just remember, CharityWatch, we rate charities all along the political spectrum. Whatever you believe in, we rate religious charities, we rate progressive, socially progressive charities. People aren't going to agree on everything, right? Our country is very polarized right now. So, I want everyone to know, as I highlight this charity, which is an organization that its mission is to support the educational aspirations of LGBTQ plus people and ally students to become impactful leaders in their lives, careers, and communities. But back to the point I was making. As a watchdog organization and a charity rating organization, there's all kinds of charities with all different kinds of causes, and there's all kinds of donors who believe in very, very different things and have different values. And these values are not aligned, and that is especially true in the political climate today where things are incredibly divisive. So if this video isn't for you, that's okay. You don't have to watch it. But for those people who do want to support a cause like this, if you don't, there's other videos, other ratings you can look at. But if you are someone who wants to support a cause like this, I have some information for you about the Point Foundation, which we just recently started rating. So this charity is reasonably financially efficient. For financial efficiency, it gets a B+ on our A+ to F rating scale. And that is because it spends, what does it spend? It spends 73% of its cash expenses on programmatic activities, which means that it spends about 27% on overhead. That's not terrible. Room for improvement, but very, very good relative to a lot of nonprofit organizations. So one thing about this organization is that it does heavily highlight its grants and scholarships, but grants and scholarships only make up a third or so of its program spending, about a third of its total spending for the year, and this is based on financial year 2024. So we calculated that the charity spent 4.9 million of its 6.7 million in cash expenses on its programs in fiscal 2024, just under 1.8 million on overhead. But grants and scholarships comprised only about 37% of the charity's total cash program spending and only about 27% of its total cash expenses in fiscal 2024. So sometimes scholarship charities, people think, oh, if I donate this money, almost all of it's going to go to scholarships. Scholarships might only be one of a charity's many programs. So if you're intending only to support scholarships, depending on the charity, depending on what other programs it has, your money might go some to that purpose. It might go to some other things. In the case of this charity, one of its other major programs is leadership development, and it spent about $1.3 million on its leadership development program in fiscal 2024. And basically it describes it as a mix of in-person and online leadership development programs for the LGBTQ plus community, scholars, including a new career exposure program with visits to major corporate headquarters and attendance at professional conferences. And of course, there's more, and you can go to the charity's website if you want more detailed information. We recently published a blog post about this charity. We also looked at its governance and transparency information. It does very well in those areas. We reported on some salary data as well, including a severance payment to one of the charity's, I think, chief of program got a severance payment in fiscal 2024. There were some staff bonuses as well that we've reported on. So be sure to visit our website. Visit our website at CharityWatch.org. And if you're interested in this type of cause, you can read more about the Point Foundation there. One last point on Point Foundation. We did downgrade this charity's final rating from a B+ to a C plus, I believe. Let me make sure. Yes, to a C plus. I don't want to tell you incorrect information in my videos, because it holds 3 years of assets in reserve. At Charity Watch, we feel pretty strongly, especially in the current climate where a lot of the funding that nonprofits used to rely on is kind of drying up. There's a lot fewer donors than there used to be. The donors that remain are giving bigger amounts, but they're giving bigger amounts to a smaller and smaller pool of charities. So there's a lot of other organizations that have important causes and they're not able to get the funding. And that doesn't even get me started on all the government funding that's been slashed. So it's important. There's so much need in the world, and there's not enough resources to meet all those needs. So for that reason, we feel pretty strongly that if a charity already has a lot more money than it's reasonably able to spend, we think that it should start to spend a lot of that down. Now, we don't downgrade a charity's rating if it maintains less than 3 years worth in reserve of its annual cash operating budget. So if it could operate, what we found is that this charity, based on its fiscal year 2024 financial reporting, we found that without raising another penny, this organization could continue to operate for 3 years based on its current spending. So it just barely made the list because 3 years is when we downgrade a charity. It's at exactly 3 years. So, take that into consideration. That is our position and opinion, but if you feel very strongly about this cause and you otherwise think it's a good charity, it's up to you. Whereas if there's another charity with similar programs that's basically spending most of its money to help it, its population that it serves, to help them now, maybe you want to direct your donation to one of those organizations instead. It's entirely up to you as a donor. And that's a really, overarching point of this video. Charity Watch, our function is to dig into the financials, the governance, the transparency, the salary reporting of charities, to make adjustments for information that is inaccurate, incomplete, inconsistent, incomparable, and give you the information you need to make informed giving decisions. We're not here to tell you where your donations should go or what causes you support. We're just saying, if you like a particular cause, if you want to support a particular cause, we're going to dig into the harder part, which is the financial reporting, which is pretty complex. We're leaving it to you to decide if you think a charity's programs are good, if you like the cause. That's up to you. If you do, come to our site, look at the different charities we have on our top rated list that organizes charities by cause. Pick one that's financially efficient and direct your donations there. If Point Foundation is one of those for you, you support the cause, make a donation to the organization. If not, there's so many other worthy causes that you can support as well. My name is Laurie Styron. I'm the CEO and Executive Director of Charity Watch. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.